Clyde Shelton is a brilliant engineer and a devoted family man, living quietly in Philadelphia. One peaceful evening, he's laughing with his wife and little daughter when the doorbell rings, shattering the calm. Two armed men, Clarence Darby and his partner Rupert Ames, burst inside. They beat Clyde, tie him up, bind his wife, and then Darby stabs them both. The nightmare deepens when their young daughter wanders into the room. Darby's cruelty explodes. He turns on the child. Powerless, Clyde can only watch, bleeding and bound, as Darby assaults and kills his little girl before his eyes. Police soon capture Darby and Ames. The case lands on the desk of Nick Rice, a rising Philadelphia prosecutor obsessed with maintaining his perfect conviction rate. Clyde, heartbroken, but still clinging to faith and justice, believes the system will punish those responsible. But key DNA evidence is ruled inadmissible on a technicality. Nick worries that if they go to trial, both men could walk free. To protect his record, he cuts a plea deal. Darby will testify against Ames in exchange for a reduced sentence. Ames is cast as the ringleader and sentenced to death, while Darby, who directly murdered Clyde's family, gets third-degree murder and only a few short years in prison. Nick calls it a pragmatic win. One man executed, another punished. But to Clyde, it's a disgusting failure. Watching Darby smirk in the hallway and thank Nick for the sweet deal is the breaking point. Nick tries to justify it as the only way to ensure any conviction, but Clyde can't accept that logic. His wife and daughter are gone forever, and their killer just walked away. Years crawl by, 10 long years. Clyde's wounds heal, but his anger only hardens. The man who once built machines now builds plans. He channels every ounce of his genius into preparing for justice on his own terms. In 2009, the countdown ends. During Ames's scheduled execution, the lethal injection goes horribly wrong. The inmate writhes and screams as the chemicals burn through his veins. Something's been tampered with. On the table lies a taunting note. "You can't fight fate." Darby's old phrase. The message is clear. This wasn't an accident. Someone orchestrated it. Darby is next. Darby, back to his criminal habits, is snorting lines of cocaine when an anonymous voice calls his phone. The distorted tone warns him that police are seconds away. Panicking, Darby grabs his gun and flees as sirens close in. The mysterious caller guides him step by step through the chaos. Dump the weapon, follow the route. There's a police cruiser waiting. At the end of a dark alley, he spots it. Engine running. Lights off, just as promised. Inside, an officer appears slumped over the wheel. Desperate, Darby drags the cop out at gunpoint and speeds away, following every word from the voice on the line. The trail ends at an abandoned warehouse. When the cop turns toward him, Darby freezes. Because it's not a cop. It's Clyde Shelton, the man he thought he destroyed. Clyde engineered every second of this escape. Darby tries to shoot, but the gun misfires, rigged to fire a neurotoxic dart instead of a bullet. The toxin paralyzes him, locking his body while leaving him fully conscious. The predator has become the prey. Clyde straps him to a table in a grimy, makeshift torture chamber. He injects stimulants to keep Darby awake, places photos of his wife and daughter where he can see them, and calmly begins the work he's dreamed of for a decade. Every scream, every second is recorded on video. When it's over, Clyde finally kills him, then frees the real cop he had kidnapped for the ruse and disappears into the night. By morning, detectives find the horror scene and the warehouse deed registered to Clyde Shelton. Motive, method, message, it all points straight to him. SWAT surrounds his home, expecting a standoff, but Clyde walks out quietly, hands raised, almost peaceful. He's cuffed without a fight. To the police, the nightmare seems over. To Clyde, it's only just begun. Inside interrogation, he's calm, almost smug. He waives his right to an attorney and lectures Nick about the hypocrisy of modern justice. Then he makes an outrageous offer. He'll confess in exchange for a luxury mattress for his jail cell. Nick storms out in disbelief. That night, a DVD arrives at Nick's home, addressed to his young daughter. His wife presses play, expecting a recital recording. Instead, they see footage of Darby's torture and murder. Clyde has reached right into their living room. The message is clear. Even locked away, he can hurt you. District Attorney Jonas Cantrell pushes Nick to give Clyde what he wants. They need information to stop what's coming. The next day in court, Clyde represents himself. Cool, cocky. He quotes precedent and argues for bail, exploiting loopholes like a pro. Judge Laura Birch almost agrees, until Clyde turns on her, mocking the system for being so easily played. Realizing she was about to free a confessed murderer, she snaps. Bail denied. Contempt filed. With his new mattress finally delivered, Clyde starts talking. He admits to killing Darby and Ames, but then drops a bombshell. They're missing someone. Darby's defense attorney Bill Reynolds is missing too, and Clyde has him. He offers coordinates for the hostage if he receives a full-steak lunch from his favorite restaurant, music player included, served by exactly 1 p.m. If it's late, Reynolds dies. The team scrambles to comply, but security delays the delivery by a few minutes. Clyde enjoys his meal slowly, sharing a bite with his cellmate before giving the coordinates. When SWAT arrives, Reynolds is found buried in a box, long dead. The air supply cut off right at the deadline. Clyde set them up to fail. Moments later, he sharpens his T-bone and murders his cellmate. Guards storm in, drag him to solitary. Even behind bars, he's running a perfectly timed war. Investigators soon learn why. Clyde was once a government black ops engineer, an expert in covert assassinations and impossible escapes. They realize he's orchestrating every death remotely. They tighten security. But it's too late. Judge Birch, the one who denied his bail, is blown up in her car. Nick confronts Clyde again. Unshaken, Clyde claims he's not just taking revenge, he's proving how rotten the system is. Then he drops his final threat. Unless he's released and all charges are dropped by 6 a.m., everyone connected to his case will die. Nick moves his whole team into the prison overnight to stay close. At first, nothing happens, until the clock hits 6. Outside, the parking lot erupts in fire as multiple car bombs detonate. Nick's assistant, Sarah Lowell, dies instantly. The rest are thrown into chaos. Furious, Nick storms Clyde's cell, accusing him of murdering innocents. Clyde simply smiles. To him, this isn't revenge. It's justice exposed. After the explosion, panic spreads through Philadelphia. The mayor, furious and terrified, demands Clyde be stopped at any cost. Nick, now burdened with guilt and promoted to acting district attorney, swears to end this nightmare. But Clyde still holds all the cards. Every move seems planned years in advance. The city is on lockdown. Everyone connected to the old case is living in fear. Judges, prosecutors, cops. No one feels safe. Nick's mind races. Sarah Lowell, his assistant who just died, had been tracking Clyde's financial records. Revisiting her files, he finds something everyone missed. Clyde owns an abandoned garage just a few blocks from the prison. It hadn't appeared suspicious before, but now it glows like a red flag. Nick and Detective Dunnigan rush there without a warrant. There's no time left for procedure. Inside, they uncover the unthinkable, a secret tunnel stretching directly from the garage to the prison's lower levels. The walls are lined with schematics, detonators, uniforms, blueprints, an entire war room hidden beneath the city. Clyde had built this years ago, allowing him to slip in and out of prison unnoticed, planting bombs, and executing his revenge while everyone thought he was locked away. Following the tunnel, they find a small chamber stacked with explosives and surveillance feeds of City Hall. A map marked with X's reveals his next target, the emergency government meeting scheduled for that evening. Clyde plans to wipe out the mayor, the council, and anyone tied to his case all at once. Nick realizes they only have hours to stop a massacre. They race to City Hall. Upstairs, the mayor's emergency meeting is already underway, filled with top officials unaware of the danger below. In the basement, Nick and Dunnigan search frantically, finally uncovering a hidden suitcase bomb planted directly beneath the meeting room floor. The device is massive, armed, and linked to a phone detonator. One single call from Clyde will vaporize everyone above. Working with a bomb tech, they manage to disable the remote trigger, but the timer remains live. Nick understands what must happen. If Clyde makes the call, it will still blow. The only way to stop him is to find him before he presses that button. Unaware his plan has been exposed, Clyde calmly sneaks back through his tunnel into the prison. His face is calm, his hands steady, as if everything is unfolding exactly as he predicted. He climbs up into his solitary cell, ready to watch it all burn from the inside. But when he looks up, Nick Rice is already waiting for him. Gun aimed, eyes cold, Nick blocks the exit. Clyde freezes, then gives a faint smile of respect. He congratulates Nick for finally catching up, calling it a bit late, but impressive. He insists this was never about revenge. He wanted to teach the system a lesson, to prove that the law itself is broken. Nick doesn't flinch. He reminds Clyde that his wife and daughter wouldn't have wanted this, that all he's done is become what he hated most. Clyde stays silent, then slowly pulls out his cell phone. "You can't stop what's coming," he says, and presses the button. A faint ringtone echoes. For a second, nothing happens. Then Clyde notices something under his bed. The same suitcase bomb he planted beneath City Hall. Nick and Dunnigan had moved it while he was gone, turning his weapon back on him. Clyde's eyes widen, not in fear but realization. He sits down on his bunk, takes out his daughter's bracelet, and lets out a long breath. A flicker of peace crosses his face as flames bloom around him. The explosion rips through the solitary cell, but the blast stays contained. City Hall stands untouched. The war is finally over. Outside, Nick watches the rising smoke from a distance. The sound of sirens fades into the city's hum. He's alive, but forever changed. Clyde's crusade forced him to confront the truth about compromise, justice, and what it really means to serve the law. Weeks later, Nick sits quietly in a small auditorium. On stage, his daughter performs a piano recital, a scene that once would have been interrupted by phone calls and court deadlines. This time, Nick is fully present, watching her play, eyes full of gratitude and pain. As the final notes fade, he smiles faintly. Justice didn't win cleanly, but maybe, just maybe, humanity did.